This is not live. We're recording this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. I am KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. And with me is KP Kennetra Pulliams, Miss Wanda's favorite person in the world, besides her family. KP, how are you doing?
I'm good, Kris. How are you?
I'm doing great. Okay, you're watching the Takeover, streaming on YouTube and, of course, on Roku via the BS3 Network. Get the app, download the app, please. For me and AJ and Ben, everybody at BS3, download the app, watch us on Roku. If you don't want to do that, I guess it's all right. But you can watch us on BS3Network.com or BS3TVLive.com. KP, I'm going to toss you a curveball first, and I'm going to bring this up because I'm a member of the committee, and we announced this a few days ago. These are the finalists, the top 10 finalists for the 2025 Guy V. Lewis Award. It goes to the top boys high school player in Greater Houston. They're all seniors. That is not always the case. This is year 14 of the award. So shout out to Michael Collins from Shadow Creek, Jalen Finner of Tascasita, Shelton Henderson, Bel Air, Skylar Holt, Stafford, Bryce Jackson, also Shadow Creek, Samuel Johnson, Booker T. Washington, Trey Lewis, Grand Oaks, Quentin Sanders, Wheatley, Kevin Sargent, Marshall, and Montana Wheeler, Xavier Academy. KP Montana Wheeler this is, I think, his third consecutive year to be finalist. And I think he signed with, I want to say Bradley.
Okay.
Shelton signed with Duke. But I wonder if he's going to stick with Duke or go with the Jay Lucas to Miami, because Jay Lucas was very involved in Shelton's recruitment to Duke. And Jay Lucas also went to Bel Air High School,
right,
like Shelton, and part of the John Lucas family. And Shelton played for John Lucas III grassroots team on and on. So there is a connection there. So I haven't heard directly if he's going to go to Miami instead of Duke.
So that was my question: is like since Jay's press conference, has Shelton commented?
I haven't heard. I reached out to him to invite him to the award reception taking place April 1st. He hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. He's really close. He's a quiet young man. So he doesn't really, speak a lot. He's not big on social media very much. So one of the committee members who is really locked into high school hoops might have an answer about it better than I do. I just tally the votes and send out the press release. That's what I do. High school hoops is not my thing. That is not my thing anymore. But so we'll see. It wouldn't surprise me if he decides to go to Miami instead of Duke. But, it's his decision.
But then, because then you have to look at, who's staying, who's coming back, who's coming in,
Sure.
Because the thing is, Duke's season is far from over.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to, it had been floating out there, about Jay Lucas, and John Shire had been very complimentary, about Jay's readiness to be, a head coach, but, would not comment directly on, Miami. Press conference happened, and of course we know spring signing window, and then a lot of moves are made during the Final Four. A lot of meetings take place.
Yes.
during the Final Four, so that the timing of formally announcing Jay. So, and then just kind of what domino effect that has to have. I mean, because meanwhile, while he's still locked in doing scouting reports and everything, he has to assemble a staff.
Right.
So, and they have to hit the road recruiting and, hit the portal.
I mean, because Jay, I think He's in Miami. He's doing it differently than a lot of programs. Duke said, Jay, you can go ahead and be the head coach of Miami. It's different. Like Houston Cougars, associate head coach Quantis White was named coach of Louisiana. I asked Coach Sampson during his press conference if Coach Q would stay with Houston staff through the tournament or go to Louisiana. Coach Sampson shot me down with a quickness. Oh, no, he's gonna stay with us. Why wouldn't he? Of course. I'm like, okay, Coach, thank you. I didn't want to make it worse and say, well, Miami's doing with Jay Lucas, so I just left it alone. But
I mean, it's interesting. So I mean, just because of the relationships he has nurtured, within the Duke program, and then all of a sudden you're out, and especially during ACC tournament, there's teams that Duke has faced already that he led the scouting report for.
Sure.
So now you pass that off. But if it's a program as opposed to a team, then hopefully there's very little drop off.
Yeah, hopefully, and we shall see. That situation, I don't know how. I can't think of too many other instances where the current program agrees to have their coach leave for the new job while they still have games to play. So that's rare. So we'll see if it works out for Duke. Sticking with coaching, different gender. The Houston Cougars head coach, women's basketball, looking for a new head coach because Coach Huey announced his resignation last Thursday, right before I did the Takeover live on Thursday. He resigned before he was not brought back. He wasn't coming back. His comments in the article, he wasn't coming back. He seemed like he was surprised that he was, my man, you were gone. Okay. You were gone. So, but anyway, I'm going to say a few names now that I hinted at, did not say Thursday, because, and I'm different and I'm okay with it, folks. My journalism colleagues say you should have just go ahead and mention the names Thursday. We heard about them. I didn't want to do that because they were still playing in conference tournaments.
Respectfully.
Okay. Unfortunately for these coaches, they have been eliminated. One was eliminated in their first game of their conference tournament. Well, actually, two of them were. One was in the quarterfinal. One was in a semifinal, had a double bye. And then the other one lost in a semifinal last Tuesday night. First one is Karen Aston, current head coach at UTSA. Was head coach at Texas for a few years, so she has experience in the Big 12. They were the 1 seed in the American Athletic Conference. They lost to the Rice Owls in the quarterfinals. Rice has since on advanced to the championship game for the second straight year, facing South Florida with a chance to get back to the big dance for the second straight year. Under head coach has been there 4 years, as opposed to the Houston Cougars women's program that has not been in 11 years. But anyway, I digress on all that. Karen Aston, I'm going to say this. I saw the game against Rice earlier that day. The Athletic reported, went through the 6 jobs that were open as of that point, women's side. Houston was ranked 6th. So, I think Wisconsin was mentioned. Who other jobs? Missouri was mentioned, on and on and on. But in the summary for Houston, the author, Miss Chantel Jennings, cited Karen Aston as a possible candidate for the job. So I don't know if the UTSA players had heard prior to that, or they were contacted before, based on that article, whatever, but based on their performance in the game against Rice, they were not focused. They seemed out of it. They seemed disinterested. It took them a long time to get it going. And that's not Rice's fault. Rice did what they're supposed to do and won the game. But so they looked affected. by the mention of it, and it could have been a bad day. Because I think they beat Rice twice in the regular season, but they just were a shell of themselves. And I'll even say this: I'm going to go there, KP. Give me your thoughts on this. It was a 7-point game, a minute and change left in the ball game. UTSA called timeout. Coach Aston called timeout. You're down 3 possessions, 7 points, a minute, 5 to go. After the timeout, they did not foul for like 25 seconds. No foul. And I'm like, are you trying to win? Are the players, what are y'all doing here? And then they foul. I'm like, well, it's too late now. The game's pretty much over.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if she checked out on her team or if the players checked out on her. It was not a good look to me. But 5 different people told me Karen Astor was the front runner for the job. Like 2 weeks ago. Based on what I saw against Rice, I was like, yeah, I already had my second thoughts about her as the head coach for Houston, even though she'd be an upgrade over Coach Huey. I think she's going to retire soon. I don't think she's going to be a long-term hire here. I think they should go younger. Different reasons. But that's one name mentioned for the job.
So
Go ahead.
No one on the coaching staff called for a foul.
Well, based on, it was on ESPN Plus, so the camera angles are kind of limited. I couldn't really tell. But it was like the players made no effort to go foul. It was like an afterthought, and then they realized late in the shot clock, oh, let's go foul now. Oh, okay.
The clock is the 6th man.
I mean, so you're down. It wasn't a 3-point game. You needed the ball back.
Yeah.
So we'll see if she's still the front runner. I reached out to Houston administration about some specific names or a list or if they're close to narrowing down the choices of, for the job. Second person who is interested in the job is Aqua Franklin, head coach at Lamar. Graduated from Texas A&M. Lamar lost in the Southland Conference semifinal to Stephen F. Austin Wednesday afternoon. So that was their first game because Southland had a double bye for the top 2 seeds in their conference. So they went straight to the semifinals. They lost in their first game. Another candidate for the job, Jason Burden from North Texas. They lost to South Florida in the AAC semifinal. So that's 3 potential candidates for the Houston job. None of them advanced to their conference championship final or won the final to advance, take their team to the big dance. Make that what you will. They didn't win. They didn't get it done. So Houston is looking at coaches that didn't even win the conference championship. I mean, could be a factor. It would give me some pause for concern. What say you on that?
I don't know their biographies, their resumes to see if this was a blip, or if they have had previous postseason success. But it just seems like and who knows what Houston's budget is for hiring. But yeah, if you aspire for more and for better, I think it's cause for concern. Like, how are you going to generate excitement about a program and a new head coach and a new coaching staff if the 3 names you mentioned are available and the NCAA tournament hasn't even started yet?
Fair point. And another name mentioned, head coach at Tulsa, Angie Nelp. She did not get to the AAC conference tournament. The two coaches that are in the AAC title game, Jose Fernandez, South Florida, is not going anywhere. I think he signed an extension at South Florida, and he probably would have to take a pay cut to come to Houston. Rice Owls head coach Lindsay Edmonds, I think she wouldn't mind driving across town to go from Rice to Houston.
Yeah.
She's helped herself with Rice's showing in the conference tournament because they really underperformed throughout this season for whatever reason. She had higher expectations for them to be good enough to be an at-large team and not have to win the conference championship to get the automatic bid. And they stumped their toe on that. I think they were under 500 before the conference tournament started. But we'll see if Rice, if they beat South Florida, as we're recording this, and make it back-to-back trips to the big dance, well, if I'm a Houston administration, AD, Coach Edmonds, congratulations on your accomplishment at Rice. We'd like to discuss with you the opportunity to coach the Houston Cougars women's basketball program. Because she's been to the tournament. But we shall see. Another name mentioned to me, not going to happen. I don't see it happening, is Molly Miller, Grand Canyon head coach. Grand Canyon's like 27-2, something, just ran through the whack. She's on the radar of Missouri, Arkansas, Arizona State. Grand Canyon is in the state of Arizona. Grand Canyon beat Arizona and Arizona State in non-conference play. So even if she decides to stay at Grand Canyon, she's going to get a raise. She's going to get a raise wherever she stays at Grand Canyon or takes a new job. Coach Huey made about $330,000, lowest paid coach in the Big 12. The next head coach will get more than that. It won't be I doubt it's $1 million. I think it'd be, $600,000 to $800,000 in that range. So Karen Aston, Aqua Franklin, Jason Burden, they made like $200,000 or less at their current jobs. So it would be a bump in pay for them. I'm not sure what Molly Miller's making at Grand Canyon. I can't imagine it's going to be, $330,000 like Coach Huey received this last year at Houston. But there are other people. I won't say the name because this name was shot down by the AD with a quickness. Not interested. Hell of a coach, not interested. But this person had ties to pro basketball, NBA and WNBA ties. It would have been like a flashy kind of hire, but not a fit for Houston. So I'll just leave it at that. So you were in Kansas City. You asked me about this. I want to get your thoughts on this. That is the Big 12's court. I got a better angle of it that I can post where you can see the XII design on the court. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I just kind of ignore it. It's not as garish as some of those NBA Cup courts where they just blinded my retinas, But what are your thoughts on the Big 12 court?
I think it's too busy. And, from a TV perspective, from a TV camera perspective, as far as shading, it makes it very difficult just because of the busyness of it. It reminds me a lot of TCU's floor.
Okay.
Showmire Arena, and it looks different in person than it doesn't translate on TV how it looks in person. And so it's just, to me, it's just, it gives you vertigo. I mean, and you read stories about, either you love it or hate it. Nobody's really indifferent about it. People have strong feelings about, but, I've read the commissioner's comments about, trying to be forward thinking and,
right,
on the cusp and everything. But to me, it's just too busy.
He said the players love it. He said the players told him that they love it.
Would he say that they hated it? No.
Well, you know,
he's got to protect his decision to do that.
Sure.
So no, he's not going to be like, oh, you know, but he, you know, yeah. Oh yes, I was at Iowa State shoot around and they just love. Okay, of course you're going to say that because you want to pat yourself on the back.
I think you can put me in a camp of I'm kind of indifferent. I don't really, you know, it is what it is. I don't care one way or the other. It doesn't bother me. I don't hate it. I don't like it. I'm just like, okay, there it is. You know, would I have designed the court like that? No, but you know, there it is. So you and I agree to disagree. Not the first time. Have we done that?
And like, why is it only now that he's like, you just had a full week of women's tournament and he didn't feel the need to address it? It's only on the men's side that.
Well, was he there last week for the women's tournament at the start of it?
I don't know, but you know, he's the commissioner of the conference. He's not just the commissioner of men's basketball.
Right. Yeah. Because the court was put in for the women's tournament too. So it was on display last week. Not just, it was not put down just for the men's championship.
Now, you know, it might have been hard since the games were, you know, on ESPN Plus.
So, you know, not many folks saw those games.
Right.
You know, what was it? The championship game was on ESPN between Baylor and TCU. Semifinals, I think, was on the U. But 2 and 2 for the quarterfinals. 2 were on ESPN Plus. 2 were on ESPN 2 or U. They're behind the ACC and the SEC in the hierarchy for women's hoops. Well, Big Ten has their own thing. You know, Big Ten is on CBS and the Big Ten Network.
Well, I mean, Big East.
and Big East is on Fox. Big East has UConn.
FS1, Peacock.
You know, and I choose to believe that the commissioner will revisit inviting UConn to join the conference. You know, it makes sense for basketball for sure. It would help the Big 12 have an elite women's program, which they're lacking right now, for sure.
TCU's not elite?
No.
TCU's just.
But after one year, yeah, they're having a great season. They went from last to first in 2 years. Outstanding achievement. Salute to Coach Campbell and his staff. But they got to do it again. You know, a few times. But that quick turnaround gives me hope as a Houston alum that it can be done, because Houston was dead last on the women's side. So in 2 years now, 2 years time, they can win the Big 12 championship, which I'm not counting on, but you know, I mean, it can be done. You know,
hit the portal
with and bring in the right people that fit, and have the right staff to develop them. All those things. But on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, next topic, our favorite person, my favorite person and yours, Brett Yormark, favors a 76-team men's NCAA tournament. And really, it'd be the same for women eventually, if not immediately. But Brett Yormark is in favor of expanding the men's tournament to 76 teams, and he believes a decision could come in the next few months, opening the possibility of proposed changes being implemented as soon as next year. He spoke before the start of the Big 12 Men's Basketball Championship Tuesday. Just your thoughts on that. And I added men's basketball because the article just said the Big 12 Championship. And I'm like, no. He spoke before the men's championship. But your thoughts on expanding the tournament to 76 teams?
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, he wants to be a visionary in terms of basketball. But the thing is, like, does he feel the same way about expanding the women's tournament at the same time, at the same rate? because the structure of the women's tournament is far different from the men's.
Yes. 2 regional sites on campus, first 2 rounds, top 16 seeds host. Yes.
Yeah. And again, like I said, he's the Big 12 conference commissioner, not the Big 12 men's basketball commissioner. So like, the TV contracts are different. When you have Turner and TNT, TBS, CBS, for the men, and then ESPN, family of networks, ABC, Disney, for the women. So it's just, and he thinks it'll happen, and but at the same time, what do his peers, his fellow commissioners, what do they think? What does the AD at Notre Dame think?
I hate it. Where is it? More comments from Commissioner Yormark. I think the economics candidly have to work. Duh. CBS and TNT have a marquee TV asset with the tournament. I know they know that, but in order for us to expand, they need to come to the table and provide the right economics, end quote. He wants more money, as we all do. Mm-hmm. This year's edition of men's March Madness will be the 40th men's bracket since the field expanded to 64 in 1985. It later grew to the current 68-team configuration. The women's bracket, which is also March Madness, increased to 64 in 1994 and added 4 more teams in 2022. But ironically, NCAA Senior VP of Basketball Dan Gavitt said to CBS Sports in the last probably 2 weeks that he does not expect a vote in the near future on expanding to 76, but he left open the possibility of a spring vote. Gavitt said that changes in game operation and travel are among many issues to consider, and that the decision is, quote, not taken in a lighthearted way at all, end quote. Gavitt said during the CBS interview that he isn't sure whether the field should expand, but he sounded more positive about the possibility than he was a few years ago. Name, image, and likeness, commentary alignment, and the transfer portal have changed the dynamics, and Gavitt said men's basketball in particular might be suited to handle it. But thinking about all that, I want to bring that up. 76 team, expanded to 76 teams. What about this brand new college basketball crown, Miss Kennetra Pulliams? The inaugural one will take place next month, April 6th through April 6th. Fox Sports and AEG will launch a new postseason college basketball tournament. The college basketball crown will be a 16-team tournament taking place March 31st through April 6th in Las Vegas. The games will be played at the MGM Grand Garden Arena and T-Mobile Arena. Teams that do not qualify for the NCAA tournament will be eligible. The Big 10, Big 12, and Big East, whose games are carried on Fox, will each have 2 automatic entries. The other teams will be selected by a committee.
ACC.
So, I mean, back to this again. Big 10, Big 12, and Big East will each have 2 automatic entries. If Brett Yormark gets his wish of 76 teams or 8 teams added to the men's tournament,
everybody gets a medal.
That's what we get to. Everyone
a participation trophy.
I mean, the Big 12 is projected to have 8 teams in the NCAA tournament. I wonder if that still will include West Virginia after their loss to Colorado, the 16th seed in the second round of the tournament, the Big 12 tournament. I wonder, but let's say it does. So that's 8. You expand to 76, so you add 8 more teams. Let's say you add 2 more Big 12 teams. So that's 10. Then you have 2 more Big 12 teams in the college basketball crown. That's 12. What are we doing here? the SEC, which was not mentioned in college basketball crown. Notice that, everyone. It was
Mm-hmm.
the Big 10, Big 12, and Big East.
Mm-hmm.
What about them? I mean, if they get, I think this year has been a hell of a year for the SEC. They may get as many as 13 teams on the men's side
Mm-hmm.
to the tournament. I think maybe 11 or 12, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's more realistic. Yeah.
But if they get 13, and in future years, you add 8 for 76, they get 2. So then it means they get 12 or 14. Back to
You
your
basically
point.
get your whole you basically get your whole conference playing postseason.
Yes. What are we doing here?
I mean, basically, what is this, like an extension of your conference schedule?
I mean, that's all this is just, it is participation trophies. It's, I guess, and what are the fans of these programs going to do? It's going to make on the men's, for the NCAA tournament, the first rounds are going to expand. The first 4 is going to be what, the first 8 or the first 12 or whatever. So where are those games going to take place? How many are they going to have? You're going to split it up, have a first 4 for the East Coast and then a first 4 for the West Coast, and then just have them feed into the West region, or the, kind of thing.
And I mean, and that's the thing. Even now, the way it's structured, even those who play in the play-in games are not always your 16th seeds.
Right.
So like, it's just like, what's the formula and who plays in the play-in game?
So I just win your games and win enough to earn a spot in the field of 68 and leave it at that. I have a big old bone to pick with teams and committee members, of fans, alums, supporters of teams that are 6 games under 500 in a conference. And yet they feel like they deserve a spot in the big dance over a lower level program that is 25-2. Well, we play in the best conference in basketball. So but you're 4-12. Just go to show you how tough a conference is.
What would your criteria be? 500 record in conference?
That was my initial thought. I would accept at the most 2 games under 500. So like 8-10 or 6-8. I would accept that. Beyond that,
and is it a sliding scale based on how many teams are in the conference?
Nope.
So say you only play a team once, Big 12, as opposed to a double round robin.
Then go 8-10. Don't go 6-12. Or this year a 20-game schedule.
I mean, it's hard to say when 5 of your teams are ranked in the top 5 in the country, and
True.
you have to play each of them twice.
Then schedule tougher non-conference, because some of those schools, the coaches who say, well, we play such a tough conference, but instead of scheduling tough non-conference, they schedule cream puffs.
Well, you kind of have to.
No, you got to win.
You have to have the bye games, like not for you, but for those who
to save your job.
On you playing, like you kind of have to play the little sisters of the poor, because like their entire athletic department depends on this one basketball game. You got to play the SWAC teams and the CIAA teams and the CA. You have to do a solid for your in-state teams and schools as goodwill.
Right. Okay. But spread it around. Max, cap that off at 2. I don't want to see a team, any power program, scheduling 5 SWAC teams.
Sure.
And that's excessive. Okay. And there are coaches who say, well, we want to support our in-state schools, and
Mhm.
also we play in such a brutal conference. And are you trying to win, or are you trying to just save your job? Because just be honest. We can all see what you're doing. You can spin it how you want to spin it, but come on.
I mean, and
I
then
just
the other thing is, like, these schedules aren't made, like, these schedules are made years in advance.
some majority of
Some,
the games, yes. Some, yes.
and then you also have to leave room for these exempt tournaments or these exempt games where, like, you really have no say so over who you're paired with, who's even included. And I mean, it could be, for instance, UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Looked great, we get the two-time defending national champs playing in the Maui Invitational. Great. And then what happened when they get there? They're not who you thought they were.
Yeah. That's part of the non-conference schedules. The committee used to say, and I was fortunate enough to be part of the mock selections on both sides, men's and women's basketball. And both sides, they said that they would credit teams, coaches, programs for scheduling tough in the non-conference, because in conference they don't have a say in conference scheduling. That's the conference office, commissioner, who you play twice, who you play once, but they do have a direct say in who they face, who they schedule in the non-conference. So that's what they used to say.
Unless it's a multi-team event.
And that's part of it as well, especially now with the massive Players Era Festival, which is what last time we discussed 18 teams, and I think we'll get to 20, haven't finalized or announced how many games each team is going to play in the Players Era Festival. Pool play, group play, advance to quarterfinal, semifinal, championship game. Who knows how that's going to play out?
And I mean, even that, the decision makers of said events, they want good TV.
Yes.
So they're not going to pick a Florida Gulf Coast to come to Hawaii. They're not going to pick, a Florida Atlantic. They're not going to pick those teams just because they got hot in March last year and upset, and they played Cinderella. Those aren't traditionally the ones who you're going to get teams from the Power Five. You may get a Dayton, a VCU, you may get kind of that next tier, a Memphis, but mainly it's going to be, the Power, because it's like those are the one, that's the draw. Then they also consider, okay, whose fans will travel. So it's not a level selection process, shall I say.
It isn't. It's perpetual as well, because it makes it tougher for on the G5 programs, the middle tier programs, the up and coming programs to participate in these Players Era, these multi-team events. Well, you haven't been a blue blood long enough, or you haven't done.
Yeah.
You haven't played a tough enough
look
schedule.
at the season. Look at the season Drake is having under a first-year head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who basically brought his squad from Northwest Missouri State,
Division II.
Yeah,
yeah,
and is still putting in work at Drake. And now, granted, Drake is still a mid-major, but
and hold that thought. We're past the bottom of the hour, so let's do this very, very quickly and play, as you're watching this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E. Alas, we don't have a sponsor now. The sponsorship for Bayou Beat ended in February. Hopefully get a new sponsor as soon as possible. And if you are interested in sponsoring this show or being part of the Houston Roundball Review online business directory, simply email me, advertise at thehrr.com. Some of y'all say the THEHRR.com. So some folks say the THEHRR.com. But the takeover is streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and on Roku via the BS3 Network. And if you are new to the show, thank you for watching. Tell a friend about this show. And if you are also wondering what BS3 TV, BS3 Network is all about, here's a promo to give you a better idea of what it is. And we will be back. KP and I will be back in 35 seconds.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E. I am KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. With me is Miss Kennetra Pulliams. I call her KP. She doesn't seem to mind that, so I guess it's okay. KP, how are you doing?
I'm good. Where do you stand on the daylight saving time spectrum?
I didn't have a problem with it for the most part until this week. I don't know if it's because I'm turning 53 on March 14th, but my sleep has been all out of whack this week. So I don't know. Growing up, I'll say it like this: like my grandparents used to say about daylight saving time, standard time. Standard time to me growing up was God's time. So you know, why you mess with God's time? And so that's what daylight saving time to them was, you know, messing with God's time. So, but this week I've been all out of whack. My circadian rhythms are just all over the place. But where do you stand on it?
I like it staying lighter longer. I like it being 7 o'clock and the sun's still up.
See, I'm usually good with that, but like I said, this week my sleep has been, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm trying to figure out ways to get people to advertise on the show or support the Roundball Review or what. I don't know.
Whatever it is, to me, it needs to stay. Just no fallback, spring forward. Just make it what it. Let's be like pick Arizona or Hawaii and just pick. And
I'm good with that. I am good with that. See, we discussed different things on the Takeover. It's not just sports, because Kennetra is a smart Renaissance woman. She can talk about a whole bunch of different things intelligently. But the Takeover, you're watching it on Facebook, YouTube, and on Roku. Roku, courtesy of the BS3 TV. Download BS3. Make me happy. Make Ben happy. Make AJ happy. Make all of my kinfolk at BS3 happy. And download it. Get it on Roku and watch the shows on Roku. Or go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. I'm putting on my business hat one more time, and they're going to get into some WNBA talk. But here, simple ways to support the Houston Roundball Review. Go to my men's blog, my women's hoops blog. Click on the ads there you see on the blogs. Easy way, as I joked with us when I said it a month ago, click, 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 until you can't click anymore. Or, of course, buy you some merch. Buy you a Roundball Review cap, a Roundball Review mug, a Roundball Review shirt. It's getting a bit too warm now to buy you a hoodie, but you can buy that too and put it in the closet with a mothball.
2 weeks of winter, it's gone.
Yeah, until the fall or winter. You can do that too. Or you can contribute directly via PayPal, Zelle, Cash App. As I mentioned earlier, you can buy a listing in the Roundball Review business directory. And as an additional perk to a listing in the directory, I also mention get you a plug, a spot on my live stream shows like the Takeover for the same price. So different ways to support the Houston Roundball Review. Ms. Pulliams, you asked me about this a few weeks ago. Well, Wednesday morning, the WNBA announced the date and location of the 2025 WNBA Draft. Take place Monday, April 14th at The Shed in New York City. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert will announce the draft picks live on ESPN with exclusive coverage beginning at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. The draft, along with WNBA Countdown, will also be available live on the ESPN app. This will be the second consecutive year the draft will be a seated event with fans in attendance. Fans can go to WNBAexperiences.com to purchase their tickets if they want to attend in person. Do that as soon as possible when they go on sale on Friday, March 21st, because they will go fast. As determined by the draft lottery held in November, the Dallas Wings own the top pick in the draft. The Seattle Storm have the second pick, and the Mystics have the third and fourth picks. The league's first expansion team in 17 years, the Golden State Valkyries, will select fifth. KP, where are you on orange carpet, on fashion? Do you enjoy seeing the players, pro players, styling and profiling like Ric Flair used to say on the carpet?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. You see, it's kind of, part of the culture now. Arts, sports, entertainment. It's just kind of all been, under one umbrella. You see it. Major League Baseball All-Star Game. They now have a fashion show. So they parade down. In convertible vehicles. The players and their families, and so like it's just something else to get people excited, and social media. It's just like you do it for the gram, fit check. So what are they wearing? So like whatever.
And lastly, just want to read this last note. The WNBA's 29th regular season will tip off on Friday, May 16th. Draft Central info about the draft that'll launch on WNBA.com in a few weeks. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Dallas Wings do with the top pick in the draft, because it's expected by some. Well, no. It's thought that Paige Beckers is not too thrilled with possibly being the top pick going to Dallas. She wants to be the top pick, but she's not really thrilled up about being a Dallas Wing.
Does she have that much clout to call her shot?
Depends on monetarily, yes, because she could go overseas and make more money overseas. She could play in Unrivaled or Athletes Unlimited, probably make as much money because of her NIL deals currently. She could go back to UConn if she wanted to. Well, she won't do that. But she has enough endorsement dollars that she could say, no, Dallas, I'm not coming to y'all. So she could do that if she wanted to.
And if Dallas gets the first pick next year?
Then she'll be stuck. Or maybe Dallas will try to accommodate her next year. Next year is going to be different because this year's draft class will be the last one under this current CBA, collective bargaining agreement, with the lower salaries. Your thoughts on, I think you, Willie, and I kicked it around weeks ago about the possibility that the Players Association, Players Union, will decide to strike to kind of maximize their leverage with the ownership to get them to really increase players' salaries, more equity, team equity, more accommodations for moms, just better treatment of the WNBA players as a whole. And Angel Reese said it, I think, on her podcast a few days ago, that it had been discussed, that it's a possibility that the players will strike. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you would want ownership. You should want just kind of the best product, the best accommodations, the best investment, because like when you have happy players who look forward to coming to work, it's not just the paycheck. I mean, because like you said, there are other options besides WNBA. And you see the success of Unrivaled and how those players were treated, and so I don't think the requests are outrageous. But it's just a matter of getting everyone to compromise and happy with the end result.
Agreed. I hope there won't be a labor stoppage because there's so much momentum currently in women's basketball, in the pros, in college. But I would understand it from a business perspective if ownership management just won't do the right thing and maintains a hard line, an unreasonable hard line, then the players got to do what's best for them. And then we'll see what impact that would have on the WNBA as a whole. Either way, I still hope to cover the league, especially in, 3 years time, 3 or 4 years, I think 4 years, if the WNBA has a Houston franchise once again. So hopefully I'm around long enough to cover that team, or hopefully I'll be hired by that franchise to work within the organization. That's going to do it. I think that is all I wanted to discuss. You have anything you want to toss out there for discussion on the final moments of the takeover?
No, I mean, just reverting back to our top of the show. As far as scheduling, you also have to consider how many teams are in a conference and how many conference games you play, because not everybody plays the same number of conference games. That also determines how many non-conference games you have and the quality of those non-conference games outside of the multi-team events. Then it's like, okay, now how many, you have 5 games you can play, because some of these teams, starting conference play mid-December.
Right. Yeah. Brian Thornton and Brett Yormark said Tuesday, again, they spoke to the media before the men's championship about going back to an 18-game Big 12 conference schedule on the men's side, down to from the 20-game league schedule this year. It was their first public comments about it. Coach Kelvin Sampson told the Houston media a month ago, if not a few weeks more, that it was done. It was going to be 18 games. And I want to say it was a post game, so it was after a game, after a Houston win,
after they set the record for the most conference wins in a regular season.
And well before that.
Okay.
That he was talking about his players are tired, not being happy with the amount of travel that they're having to endure going from Kansas back to Houston, or UCF, home, Kansas, West Virginia, on and on, with no bye weeks. So 10 straight weeks, 2 games a week, no bye weeks. So he kept talking, and I was ready to ask him, Coach, have you heard any more on the possibility of training back to 18 games? I was ready to ask the question. As he kept talking, he said, thank goodness we're going back to 18 game next season. So he said it himself already.
There you go.
And
but look at the ACC.
Yes.
Like that is brutal. If you say you're one of the former teams formerly a member of the Pac-12, you finish up on the East Coast. Do you go home? Do you stay and then head back to Charlotte for the ACC tournament? Like that right there is just,
and it's the initial rationale for it was, especially for the ACC, specifically for the ACC, was more content for the ACC linear network to have 20-game conference schedule. I guess, but ACC is down now, so that means you just have more bad games on the platform rather than scheduling tougher opponents in non-conference.
Yeah.
And put those games on TV. as we wrap it up here on this edition of the Takeover, my belief could be wrapped up in a bow. If you believe in competition, schedule good, tough competition, non-conference, raise the bar in your conference, step up who you face non-conference, and then let the chips fall where they may. I understand that the different programs are in different phases of their success. You have some that are starting over, new coach, new AD, new everything, and you have a young team, new team. You don't want to have a murderer's row and zap their confidence. Okay, I understand playing a softer schedule, non-conference. Scheduling softer. What you think is going to be softer. But if you are established head coach, established program, you're playing in a great conference, I just have a massive problem with you scheduling 5, 6, 7 cream puffs in your non-conference. You have a non-conference schedule.
Maybe you're just trying to instill confidence, within your players so that you don't lose them in January and they're just lethargic and you're just like, whatever. Like,
and that is a reason / I think excuse to schedule those softies. Don't lose to them. Those cream puffs in non-conference, because if you are such an established program and a great coach and your players have bought into the culture, then it shouldn't be a problem you play tougher teams. Get to a point where you lose to a top 5 team. Hey guys, they are where we want to be. I believe in you guys. I believe in where this program is going to be. We're going to be better. We face them again in March. We're going to beat them because we're building up and getting better throughout the year. If that's not who you want to be, you're in the wrong profession, as far as I'm concerned. If you just want to, schedule softies and be a cream puff all your life, be a cream puff. I don't respect that kind of stuff. And I can, never mind, tie that into about other things and leadership in the country. But anyhow, that's a whole other issue here as we wrap it up on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. I'm not even going to ask you because like I said, the last time we talked, I figure when it changes, you'll let me know. So thank you everyone for watching the show. Comment in the comment section below as you watch on YouTube on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. KP, is your schedule open for next Wednesday as well?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do it again, record another edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E. And one more time, if you are interested and able, because I've had people call me and say they are interested in advertising and then they never call back. So don't waste some time with that nonsense. But if you are willing and able, email me at advertise@thehrr.com. So that'll do it on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. I'm, of course, KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. My colleague, the queen of the Houston Roundball Review media, Miss Kennetra Pulliams. Thank you, as always, for your insight and your time to share your brain with me in the audience. See you next week. And everyone, y'all know how I wrap it up. Since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. Everyone, take care. Peace.